beyond excited and honored to be talking to Kurt Vile tonight. Kurt, the new record, Wakin on a Pretty Daze, out today. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Gabriel.
Well, we'll start with the softball. Tell us a little bit about the recording of the record. Obviously, this is your second studio foray with Mr. John Agnello. When did you start recording? What was it like? I know you traveled to a few different cities across the country for it.
Well, I guess I mainly recorded it between May and, Thanksgiving. But I was touring a lot in between too. Of what was that, 2012 maybe?
Sounds right.
And I went to LA a little bit. I went to upstate New York. I went to Philly, and I was touring a lot in between because we were just road dogs. Thanks to the major, ginormous success of my last record. So so I was on the road, reaping those benefits.
Were you writing for the new record on the road?
Oh, I couldn't help it. It's just what I do. So, no, I'm just kidding. But we were just playing a lot. We were playing a lot, and it's time to make a new record, and we were just all on fire. So we just wanted to go for this kind of epic thing, and that's the way it turned out. But yeah, it was kind of crazy because I was trying to fit it in and also have another kid. I had another daughter, and thank you, yes, it's true, and no, but it was awesome having work with John in the last record, and got to been with my band, the Violators, for so long. We were so tight, so it was kind of a family scenario. It was really fun. It's fun.
Speaking of family, and you touched on it a little bit, obviously you're a married man with children. Does that influence the subject matter of your writing and just your general experience of playing music as a grown-up?
I think that it influenced my songwriting just like before I had kids, whatever my surroundings were and people were, it always influences me. I don't think too hard about it. I'm not like, I'm going to write a song about, my friend or my child. But you just kind of don't think about it, and that's when it comes in, natural style. And that's when it's like the most honest kind of thing, ideally.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot's been made, and rightly so, over the years of your guitar playing. I mean, what's the background of, when did you pick up the guitar, and how's your playing and style evolved over the years into where it is on the record now?
Well, lots of practice, but not like in a way like I have to go to class. I really have to learn these scales, but like just being really into music and feeling it. But yeah, my dad got me a banjo when I was 14, and I wanted it to be a guitar, but then, somebody across the street gave me a guitar like a few months later because they kept hearing the banjo. And so, yeah, I just been playing ever since. It's just like my style, it's a lot of things. I just think I learned it all through osmosis and, upbringing. It just kind of shows through. It's not like I had a couple. I remember my friend John Newman, for instance, taught me to finger pick around like 2003, or in more in the John Fahey / White Album style. So I've had a couple sort of lessons like I want to learn this, but more just a natural thing,
And people have begun to talk a bit about just the sort of sprawling nature of the songs and how immersive they are. I mean, when you're writing, how do you know when it's done? How do you know to take it from point A to point B?
You just keep playing and keep feeling it, and I guess if you like fixate too much and try too hard, if you're like stuck on this one spot, the idea is to move on, because if you think too much, it becomes contrived, and just keep it as natural as possible. So just lots of jamming and and feeling it,
Right. And the lyrics, I mean, the lyrics are so sort of conversational. I mean, do those come later in the process? I mean, do you have a feel for all the melody of a tune before you hit it with the lyrics? Or?
No, I mean, sometimes there's like deep, like inspirational times. I might, it's not always the same. You could just have a riff for a while, or you could have this riff and right away you have some lyrics. I feel like I was a little more on top of it when I was younger, where I'd sit and write this song and the lyrics really fast, because I think that was just my knowledge then, was like, oh, write a song from here to here, and then the more I play, the more you don't stress it, and it's just kind of like it just comes anyway it comes, and like with these more epic type of songs, I was just very patient, and I'd just be on the road and just working at them longer than before, and just come back to a riff, add some lyrics. But there'll be like lots of inspiration. For instance, when I was on the road on this record, where all of a sudden I'm writing tons and tons of lyrics. It just comes when it comes. Yeah.
You're a Philadelphia native. People often associate you with the city. I mean, is that a contrivance, or I mean, do you really feel like it's a part of who you are, and it informs your writing and informs your existence as a musician?
It is a part of who I am. That's where my roots are. Family and friends, lots of friends and family and friends, and it's definitely just your surroundings. It's just like I said, your surroundings shape your songwriting. I think my general style is to not think too much about it, and then it's just like comes out. It's just whatever. I'm sorry, I'm choking up here. It's so emotional.
When you, obviously made the record's probably been done for a few months now. Are you getting ready sort of with the band to take these songs out on the road? Obviously, we'll be hearing you soon. What's that process been like?
It's been some work, but like it was a lot of work finding the right drummer, and we got the right guy. It's our buddy Vince Nudo who is in there, and he plays actually on 2 songs on the record, which ideally that's the way we audition people. We get them to record on the record. This one we didn't know it at the time, but he plays on track 2, KV Crimes, and Airbud as well. And me, Jesse, and Rob have been playing. We've been a unit for quite a while now, and shit.
That's pretty good. The front cover is adorned with the art of Steve Powers, a.k.a. Espo, the artist from Philadelphia. How did that come to be? I mean, that imagery is taking a real place in the lore of the record already.
What's the question?
How did you get involved with Steve? And
basically, he wrote me about something else, and his name sounded familiar, and then I realized who he was, and my manager was like, oh, this, it was just perfect timing. It was serendipitous because we needed a record cover, and it's like really hard. It's a real pain in the butt to get like a good album cover. It's a big stress, and this one just fell into place because it's a wild idea of having this great pop artist of our time, just paint this giant wall. Don't have to worry about any fonts. Just take a photo. It's all there. So yeah, that's the cover is just as epic as the music for sure.
I wanted to ask you about some of your influences. I don't often get the opportunity, but do you listen to new music, or were there new records that were in rotation and getting ready for this one, or do you just feel like you're constantly sort of sopping up old and new?
Let's see. I mean, I do. I was. What's some new music I like a lot, but being on the road, I don't know how much new music influenced this album. I tend to get super into old stuff, and tons of inspiration for every record, tons, But I mean, since you asked about new music, for instance, the best new music, at least live, that completely blew my mind, which I didn't think, I listened to that type of music, but Tune Yards, I saw her at Sasquatch, and she's just like Meryl. She's just Meryl, you know, and she's just from another planet of like soul. She's like got African blood or something, and also Saturn blood.
Indeed.
Yeah.
One last question, and then I guess we'll take some questions if that's all right. Do you see yourself growing old in music? I mean, is this your path in life? And if not, what else might you see in your future?
No, yeah, this is what I do. This is what I love to do, but what comes naturally to me. And I mean, I guess I've had records out since 2009 mainly, like one little CD in 2008. But before then, since I was 17, I was self-releasing my music. I'm 33 now, so it's kind of what I do.
You guys have a ton of questions, right?
Tons of questions.
Kurt, I like what you do with words a lot. When you're in the process of coming up with an album title, how do you land there? And like, at what point do you just walk off and you're like, oh, that's good?
Actually, that's funny because this one was like, I usually have this big idea, like I've had these kind of come out swinging album titles like Constant Hitmaker, and then, I think when I was, working on getting Constant Hitmaker released, I was like, I just thought Childish Prodigy, it sounded the same. I was like, oh, that's my next album cover. And then I used to have a lot of good like come out swinging album titles. Like another one was going to be Kurt Vile, Born on Stage, but it just didn't fit all of a sudden. But for this one, like and then I got into the more the like for instance, God is saying this to you. It fits. It's right in my wheelhouse. But that actually was like when I was doing the artwork for that album, I had. I collect like found object, used later as a collage or something, and there was a headline. I liked the writing, just from a newspaper. It said, God is saying this to you. So I just put it across the back, and even then I didn't think it'd be the album title, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's the album title. And then Smoke Ring for My Halo, I called it that because, there was a lyric in a song, and I just, that song was my favorite on the record, but it was just a few chords, and I just thought it could easily get overlooked. So I wanted a little more, attention on it, like a little more importance, so it didn't get overlooked. And then, Wakin on a Pretty Daze. It's like I was getting into like the longer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 word titles, and so. Waking on a Pretty Daze. It was like, again, I wanted like focus on that song, Waking on a Pretty Day, but I didn't, again, want to just limit it to that title. So I just put Waking on a Pretty Daze, which I was a little self-conscious. I was like, a little punny, very punny, like Waking on a Pretty Daze. So at first I was like, this is the simplest title I had, but it was the kind of thing where when you don't hear the record yet, you might be like, that's a weird title. Especially when everybody calls it Wakin on a Pretty Daze, which it's not, which gets out there a lot. But anyway, so basically you're having attention to that first opening song, but then like the whole record is kind of in a daze, so you just kind of smear it across the whole record, a little daze across the whole record like Nutella.
I was just wondering, when you were first learning how to play guitar, were there any songs in particular that helped you get really good at finger picking?
That's the thing. I never would like learn a song the way somebody else played it. I'd figure it out for myself, So no. No song in particular that but like I said, I was really into like the White Album, and like and I got really into like John Fahey and stuff, and it would just come through, it would just all of a sudden come out, yeah.
So you talked a little earlier about having a family and going on the road, and I wonder, how difficult is that, when you like are in the public eye and you also want to be able to spend time with your family, and how do you balance those two?
Well, I mean, I'm in the public eye like when I'm on tour, which, it feels really good to play to a crowd and stuff like that. But it's not like I go outside of my house and the paparazzi's there or something. Yet. But it's sad to go away. I get used to being home, but it's going pretty. It gets better all the time. The returns. And I'm like supporting my family and stuff. And there's been a lot of growing pains in the past, but you just get used to it. Because I come back. And it's not like I'm working Monday through Friday 9 to 5. So it's just ultimately, it's like bittersweet, but mostly sweet.
Hey Kurt, how you doing?
Yo.
How involved are you in the recording process? Has it like varied from like your first record to this record, or you kind of let the producer do like his thing?
I mean, John, definitely does his thing. It's not like I know that much like the technical side of like, but I'm definitely pretty obsessive. So I've always been pretty involved. But like engineering, I tried a little bit. I would do home recordings and get a little mixer and get into like, putting effects through like auxiliary, a bunch of boring stuff like that. I tried it out for myself, and certain ones. Some of my friends are really good at that. Like my bandmate Rob Laxo is awesome. I prefer to have a friend who knows, how to do it, or a good producer and stuff. But I'm super involved in the recording process, but technically not as much,
Hey Kurt, how you doing?
Yo.
I'm always curious in your songs about where synthesizer and piano fits into it. I feel like on the new record, and maybe this is just me, but it's more a texture.
Yeah.
And on some of your older stuff, Freeway is a good example. It takes precedent and loops get involved. And I'm wondering if that's a conscious decision when you're writing, or if it's something you throw in after.
Yeah, I've always loved synthesizers, and I was really heavy into playing them all the time, more back in the day. So I was like, I guess, a better piano player, and I was really excited, mainly on this record, to get back into it. So I got all my synthesizers fixed up and stuff like that, and Rob's got a lot of synthesizers, and yeah, I guess that's just right now. It's a little more textural. You're right.
What for you and your band? What is just a show that you just really enjoy? Like, is it you guys on your own, or is it on the road?
Well, our shows are usually on the road, but I guess our favorite shows are the ones that totally rock and feel really good, which was probably pretty obvious, wherever they are.
Hey, so I was wondering, what's your favorite Pavement record and why?
Well, when I was a kid, my favorite was Crooked Rain. Maybe it still is. Yeah, Crooked Rain. It's like the classic rock record of my time. Classic.
I was wondering, when you record live, do you do it as a band, or is it all layered instrument by instrument? And also, how long does it take from the studio to playing live before you play your first?
When I record live, did you say?
Do you record live?
Oh, you mean when I record an album, do we play it
As
live?
a band, yeah.
Not always. That is probably the best way to be. That's when it's total life. But at the, like real. This is like real.
Because the instruments are there's a lot of layers.
Yeah, just to bounce off of each other. That's ideal. But at the same time, it just depends, because certain ones of my songs start out very introspective. So I'm still like playing. I'm always singing live.
Yeah.
Or usually. But yeah, ultimately it's best to get as much live as you can first, because then you fill in the blanks. But it just really depends on the scenario. Like this one, we were in between drummers, and I had these very meticulous songs, and I just thought it would take forever to teach my band these songs, and then we would kind of kill the vibe before you even got it down on the tape.
Does it take like a few months before you get from the studio to the stage?
Does it take a few months, to like learn the new material and go? Yeah, I don't know exactly how much time. It depends,
Hey Kurt, thanks very much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
I had an opportunity last week to be in your
an extra in your video for KV Crimes, and thanks very much for that also.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing the video. My only question is, can I be in your next video?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I just want to say that the new record has more of a positive vibe, and it's on a little bit of a different playing field. I just want to know if that comes from your general life, or if you meant to give more of a positive outlook on your music.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I did not think the last record was that negative, but people like take things so literal. Like, you know, it's like, you know, I'm from Philadelphia. There's lots of black humor, or maybe that's just my personality as well. But yeah, you know, I had a different headspace on this record. Like, you know, I feel like at least the time making it, like I didn't have all these walls blocking my brain. You know, I don't know. I could see for miles. You know. Yeah. Thanks.